Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so Eden Zero chapter 179 is out, and this chapter pretty much revolved solely around giving Holly a tour of Eden Zero and introducing her to the crew, which was actually kind of interesting because we got to see her interactions with the crew members, and they were actually pretty funny and interesting, especially when it came to Jin. Jin might have been my favorite interaction throughout this entire chapter, because when they go to the mess hall and she meets him, he basically offers to cook her a hot dog, which I'm not sure if he was making a joke or if he was actually being serious because he talked about cooking a little before that. But anyway, the interaction that he had with her throughout the entire part of the chapter, it was only like maybe 2 or 3 panels, but still his interaction with her was actually very funny, which is not something you usually get from Jin. Jin's usually a pretty straight-laced character, so actually getting some comedy from him in this chapter that didn't revolve around him overreacting to someone hitting on or him perceiving someone hitting on his sister was actually pretty funny. Also want to point out that our boy Jin was actually the cover image for this week's chapter, and he's actually looking pretty fly on this cover. But yeah, like I said, the majority of this chapter is pretty much just Herman and Wise giving Holly a tour around Eden Zero, introducing her to the crew, until we get to the part where we get to the bath scene where it's just the girls and Happy. And I believe the only girls there are obviously, Holly and Herman because she's giving her a tour around the ship. I want to say Rebecca and Homer were the only 2 there. I don't think Sister or Klein were there as well. But during the scene, we actually get this nice bonding moment between the 4 of them, or the 5 of them, because Happy's there as well. But while they're bonding, we actually get this little bit of knowledge dropped from Holly, where we end up finding out the names, or the kind of nickname for the 4 cosmos, the main 4 cosmos that we're going to be dealing with in this series. Because we already been to 3 of them, which is the Aoi Cosmos, the Kaede Cosmos, and the Sakura Cosmos. And we end up getting name dropped the Yukino Cosmos, which is the cosmos that Holly actually comes from. And she basically tells us that each of these cosmos actually represent a season. So, we have the Sakura that represents spring, Aoi represents summer, Kaede represents fall, and Yukino represents winter. And when you could basically talk about the 4 of them, they're considered the 4 season cosmos because of their representations. And she tells us that when people are talking about all 4 cosmos together, they call it the Grand Shiki Cosmos because apparently Shiki's name actually means 4 seasons. So, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to end up playing into the story itself, but that was actually a nice bit of knowledge that she dropped for us, and that's actually kind of cool knowing that Shiki, the main character, kind of has this representation about him when it comes to the 4 cosmos. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking this actually might be some foreshadowing that Hero's doing right here. So, alright, so how in the last big arc we had Poseidon Arrow who was actually in charge of the entire Aoi Cosmos, like you ruled over that? I'm thinking that now that Shiki is an OSG member, maybe in the near future, or at least by the end of the series, Shiki would technically have control over all 4 cosmos, which would actually go great with his Great Demon King persona because of the fact that obviously a Demon King should have a kingdom, and what better kingdom to be than for the cosmos, or the 4 cosmos, that are technically nicknamed after your name. Now honestly, I don't expect anything like that to happen anytime soon, but if something like that were to happen, it'd probably be near the end of the series, if not the very end of the series. Then after that scene, we cut over to Sister, who, like Rebecca promised at the end of the last chapter, is currently examining Lobelia to see if she can do anything about her disease, and pretty much like we all figured she would be able to, Sister's going to be able to completely cure her. She's not sure exactly what her disease is, but she's confident that she can cure it. Although she does have the caveat that Lobelia is going to have to stay on the ship for a while, because it's going to take a while for her to actually cure it using her abilities, but she is confident, like I said, that she can completely cure her and save her life. And I mean, even though we all were pretty sure that Sister would be able to cure Lobelia, it was still pretty nice getting to see Lobelia cry and kind of break down because she kind of given up on life at this point, but now basically being told that she can be cured. This is actually kind of a big moment for her, so it's actually kind of nice seeing this. And like I predicted at the end of the last chapter, because it is going to take a while for her sister to be able to cure Lobelia, she's going to have to stay on board the ship, which means that Lobelia is now technically a member of the crew, albeit temporarily. But, Couchbo should have been only a temporary member of the crew as well, but she's still here 3 years later, so who knows how long Lobelia actually is going to stay aboard. And then we get to the end of the chapter where we have a strategy meeting between Holly, Shiki, I want to say it was Herman and Connor are the only 4 there. And during the meeting, Shiki actually asked Holly if she can do something about Justice, basically to keep him off of their back and off of Elsie's back, which Holly basically says, listen, she can't do anything because he's an OSI member, they can't basically give each other orders, and if she were to ask him not to be involved in this fight, just the mere mention of Elsie being there is going to make him come barreling towards them. So she thinks it's better if she doesn't even ask, which I kind of agree with. It actually probably would be better if she doesn't even try to contact Justice at all, because the second that she mentions Shiki or Elsie, he's probably going to come barreling towards them, like I mentioned. So if they don't want him involved in this fight at all, it's best if they don't even try to contact him. Now, that being said, I do think that he's going to show up at some point because it's in the Kaede Cosmos, it's in their home cosmos, We already know that he wasn't that far behind Shiki anyway when it came to the beginning of the post-time skip chapters. So more than likely, he's going to show up at this fight in some way, shape, or form. Maybe Holly herself will actually end up sending him a tip, because earlier in the chapter when Herman's showing her around, she does kind of imply that she does plan on betraying the Eden Zero crew once she reaches her goal of taking down Dead and Crow. So maybe she actually will have Justice show up and actually try to get him to take down LZ while she takes down Shiki. Now, that being said, I don't think it's going to go the way she plans it to, because most likely Justice is going to fuck things up, but I'm thinking that might be what she's planning as of right now. Anyway, getting back to the strategy meeting, we actually have Holly asking Connor what he did while he was on Lindard, basically trying to get some information about the factory that he worked at. And what we end up finding out is that apparently Connor was a scanner, and what he describes a scanner as being is basically that Ziggy gathered up the best pilots, the best fighters, stuff like that, and actually hooked them up to machines that scan their brains so that they can actually download their experience and upload it into his bots. So basically all the bots in Ziggy's army are great pilots, great fighters, stuff like that. Now, that being said, the skeleton bots we saw Shiki fight in the first chapter post time skip didn't display any of that, but I'm guessing that this is implying that Shiki and the crew are going to have more to deal with than just the members of Ziggy's crew. It's actually going to be a tougher fight than they're probably expecting it to be. And then the last bit of information we end up finding out from Holly is about Dead and Crow himself, which we end up finding out that apparently Dead and Crow is a fucking giant. So we end up finding, I think he said, what, hold on, let me look it up real quick. I think she said that he was 140 meters tall, or something like that. Like he is the size of a mountain. This guy, no, I actually got that wrong. I was way undersized. She said that he stands 420 meters tall. Okay, so I just looked it up, and that is apparently over 1,300 feet tall. So yeah, he's living up to his name as Titan of Eternal Darkness. And it really has me wondering, when they're going up against that, like, and she describes him at the end of the chapter, a battle fortress who can move and think by himself, what can they possibly do against it? I mean, yeah, Shiki is a lot stronger than he was pre the time skip, but I don't think he can take down something like that big. I mean, I don't even think Herman or Wise could use either of their abilities to affect Dead and Crow at this point with how tall he is. And if I'm being honest, looking at what they're up against and considering I personally think that Ziggy is definitely the final villain of the entire series, more than likely he's going to escape some way or somehow basically get off the planet, and it's going to come down to all four of the OSI and OSG members, Holly, Justice, LZ, and Shiki, all four of them teaming up in order to take down this guy, because I can't think of any other way that they possibly could do it, at least with what we know about this ship and the crew as of right now. Although Holly does imply that Pino actually will have a big role in this arc, so maybe her plan is to use Pino's EMP ability to take down Dead and Crow, although I don't see how Pino's EMP ability is going to be able to affect someone that large, but maybe we'll actually get to see Pino getting a major power boost in this arc, who knows. But anyway guys, that's it for the chapter, that's it for the review. Thanks for watching, I hope you all enjoyed it. Can't wait for the next chapter and for this arc to officially start. But that's it for the video guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.